You absolutely love to see this as an ex-Boston Celtic who was hosting that championship banner with the team last season has finally found himself back into the NBA after getting picked up by a Celtics division rival and having a stint in the G League. We're going to be getting into that, plus a little bit of a Celtics injury update heading into their contest tonight as the Celtics gear up to bounce back after that loss following the Oklahoma City Thunder. We'll be getting into all of that and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Velez, and I want to give you guys a huge shout out for you guys coming through the live streams, hanging out with Patrick and I. It's been truly, truly appreciative. We really do appreciate the support you guys have been giving us. Letting you guys know that next Wednesday we will be having a surprise guest on our stream, so you definitely don't want to miss that. So come by at 6 p.m. and let's check out this little update here from Hot Takes as well. We are kicking off a March Madness Bracket Challenge here on this channel, and we've decided to partner with the app Hot Takes to run this event amongst other Digest channels. And it's completely free to sign up. All you need to do is download the app, click the top left banner March Madness, and go to the bottom right to find groups. Scroll down and find the Digest Media Pool and click that to join. You can win up to $25,000 in total prizes, and there's a real chance to win as there's a smaller pool involved in this challenge. All you need to do is go down to the pinned comment down below and click that link or scan this QR code and enter the code DIGEST in all caps to receive your exclusive perks. Remember, it is free to sign up, and if you have any questions revolving around this promotion, follow the pinned comment to revert back to the email. We hope to catch you guys on this group pool, and make sure to enter before March 16th before the tournament starts. Once again, a huge shout out to Hot Takes, and if you guys are interested, definitely check out the pinned comment down below in the comment section. But without further ado, let's get into it and let's discuss this Celtics news. And like I said, we got a quick preview for tonight before we dive in and get into the O'Shea Brissett's signing. So let's dive in and let's look at that as the Celtics, like we mentioned, are gearing up to take on the Miami Heat on the road after their nice little home stretch that they did very, very successful on. They lost to the Oklahoma City Thunder, though, in their previous contest, which is a little unfortunate, but still, nevertheless, a great game. And now they gear up for the Heat. And in this contest, we can see the Celtics have pretty big injury report going into tonight. We see Kristaps Porziņģis, the man who's missed 7 straight, is still on here as questionable. Second time as questionable going into a game. Tatum, Derrick White, and Jaylen Brown all are questionable as well. We had seen Tatum and Brown recently on the injury report going into the Oklahoma City Thunder game, and Al Horford is listed as probable as well. He most likely will get the go if Kristaps does not play. Even if Kristaps does play, he might get it. Derrick White, also questionable. We'll have to see about that. Just a little bit to keep you on your toes, I guess, for Miami. Celtics listing all 5 of those guys. One good thing to see out of all of this, though, is Jrue Holiday is not listed as questionable. So Jrue will be playing, and I would assume most of these Celtics, once again, as well, will be playing in tonight's contest. I don't see, Tatum or Brown. Maybe one of them sitting out. Keep a question eye on Kristaps Porziņģis as well, obviously. But the Celtics looking to take on this Miami Heat team, one that has seemingly struggled a little bit post the Jimmy Butler trade. Obviously, in a weakened Eastern Conference towards the latter half, still obviously competing for a low-tier playoff spot, and still has some great players, and Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo and stuff. But this little bit of a rivalry that's kind of fizzling out with Jimmy Butler leaving, and with the Celtics kind of ascending past the Miami Heat at this point, could be brewing once again back in Miami tonight. So definitely an exciting game to check in, and definitely a little bit of an injury update. But let's dive into the other news at hand today as we got to talk about, obviously, this is deserving and ultimately something that I love to see for the Boston, or for this player. Unfortunately, it will not be with the Boston Celtics as he did decline his second-year option, which we can discuss in a little bit if that was a bad decision or not. But a player in O'Shea Brissett has recently gotten a new deal, and we saw O'Shea Brissett sign a deal in the G League, which we'll get into a little bit later. But he's been promoted from the G League once again after getting a late contract there, and now will be signing with the Philadelphia 76ers, the Celtics Atlantic Division rival, on a 10-day contract. And Brissett will be joining 2 other former Celtics in Gershon Yabusele and Lonnie Walker, who was also on this Boston Celtics preseason roster alongside on this Sixers team. And Brissett and the Sixers have agreed to a 10-day contract in which the Sixers were granted a roster hardship exception to sign an additional player to this 10-day contract, and they granted it to O'Shea Brissett. Now, Brissett appeared in 55 games last season with the Celtics, obviously, played sporadic minutes, didn't really generate that much run. His most impactful moments in the playoffs were in game 2, where he was inserted and was a bright space of energy, being like a plus 10 or 7, and really integrating himself offensively and defensively, grabbing some boards and being a hustle energy guy. But he averaged 3.7 points and 2.9 rebounds in 11 and a half minutes. And we see that it was announced from Keith Pompey that he signed this, but we see from Bobby Kravitsky that obviously he lands another NBA opportunity, and he's glad to see him back in the league as he's been playing for the Long Island Nets, Brooklyn's G League affiliate. And that's where obviously player in O'Shea Brissett really got his first run this season. And we see from Adam Aronson that O'Shea Brissett has a little bit of a connection with someone on the Sixers as well, as he played for Nick Nurse in Toronto as a rookie and spent last season with the Celtics. Nick Nurse is also the coach for Canada. O'Shea Brissett has run with them as well. And as we see from this Nets post here, that Brissett actually had his best game for the Nets before he just got picked up by the Sixers. So the Sixers keeping an eye out on those G League guys, and Brissett, an obviously former NBA player just last season, piqued their interest as the Canadian wing in his last game for the Nets finished with 20 points coming off the bench, where he had he was 6 for 8 in shot attempts, including 1 for 3 from deep, where he also picked up 4 rebounds, an assist, and a block. So something you really love to see from a guy in O'Shea Brissett. Like I mentioned, I'm very excited to see a guy like O'Shea Brissett be back into the league. If you've been watching the channel, you've heard me talk about him. On this channel, I think he, brought a lot of energy and hustle for this Celtics team as a Syracuse alum and someone who, went and toured Syracuse, didn't go there. It was cool to see him, be in the league, and there's been, some good Syracuse players that have come through the ranks over these last couple of seasons, so it was nice to see him, get to play there as well. And for this Celtics team, a guy like O'Shea Brissett deserves to be in the NBA. He put that hustle, put that hard work, and ultimately, I thought he'd be able to get a contract in free agency as well. But with, the shortage of money and with the new CBA, not a lot of teams having a lot of cap space and being in these aprons, it was tough for some of those guys like O'Shea Brissett, Lonnie Walker, those mid-major guys who were trying to find a role or trying to find a new space to kind of really impress. Even a guy like Markelle Fultz, who was dealing with some injury, it was tough for those guys to find a new home because not a lot of teams had the money to give them the contracts that they necessarily wanted or thought they were going to be given. So therefore, these players have had to, kind of find their way through it. And O'Shea Brissett had a little bit of a tougher one as he was out for a majority of this season, kind of clawing back with this Long Island team just, recently, I believe a month ago, maybe a little over, maybe 2 months ago at this point. But now with Brissett finding himself on the Sixers, he's going to get a huge opportunity because, as we all know, the Philadelphia 76ers have not been great this season. They are going into that little bit of a tank. And 3, they also have guys like Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid all out, and Jared McCain out. So guys like O'Shea Brissett, the Lonnie Walkers, the Gershon Yabuseles, those ex-Celtics, the Quentin Grimes who just got acquired, can all be thrown into this gauntlet and taking a bigger role. And if O'Shea Brissett can step up and deliver for this Sixers team, he could ensure himself potentially a long-term deal in Philly to where they sign him as a growing piece, or he could use this momentum from this last 20-ish games or so to build up his stock for next season to where, a player where a team is like, hey, we'll actually take O'Shea Brissett on a minimum contract, or we'll give him $4 or $5 million for a year. And for O'Shea, who just sat out for a majority of this season, that's a deal he's going to take and take that opportunity to kind of find his way and carve a role for himself into the NBA, because that's something he truly did when declining this contract. And ultimately, it wasn't the greatest decision. He should have accepted that looking back on it, but hindsight is 2020. And personally, I thought players like him and Xavier Tillman would get contracts out there in free agency. And it seems like from what we've seen from O'Shea Brissett, obviously not getting anything, and with Xavier Tillman coming back on a 2-year cheaper deal, it seems like that those contracts that we thought were going to be out there for these bigs necessarily weren't as maybe lucrative as we thought, or the role that they were presenting wasn't as big enough for these guys to really stand out. So the Celtics, so for us as fans and for these players, it was a little bit of a shock. But ultimately, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Let me know what you think. I'm very excited to see O'Shea Brissett back in the league, regardless if it's on the Philadelphia 76ers. I just want to see him succeed. And I think as, Celtics fans, as people that he has a team player who won the championship with us last year. We should be very supportive of a player in O'Shea Brissett and really wish for the best of his success regardless of what team he's on. And I think on a 76ers team, once again, dealing with injuries, kind of going towards that tank, this is kind of the perfect opportunity, the perfect place for a guy like O'Shea Brissett to really spark, really kind of get that run underneath him and really find himself a potential role in the NBA for the future. So let me know your thoughts, like I said, down below in the comments section. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, and go Boston Celtics. Peace out, everyone.